To a stranger on the street, she is a vision of perfection, a beautiful woman who turns heads wherever she goes. But the moment she opens the door to her apartment, the illusion shatters. What lies behind that door is a scene beyond imagination. The floor is buried under a mountain of convenience store containers, half-finished plastic bottles and piles of discarded clothes. There is no place to step, and a faint, stagnant odor hangs in the air. Her living space has become a literal wasteland. Why do these women, who appear so polished and put together in public, allow their homes to transform into trash houses? Today, we delve into the dark side of the beautiful trash room and the brutal reality of the brain dysfunction, known as ADHD, that lies at its core. Most people take for granted the simple act of throwing away trash. But for some, that simple act is as difficult as climbing Mount Everest. It isn't laziness, it is a fundamental glitch in the brain's wiring. Let's look at what is happening inside the brain of someone with ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Their brains struggle immensely with prioritizing information. For a neurotypical person, seeing a piece of trash triggers a simple sequence. Pick it up, put it in the bin. But for an ADHD brain, the process is fragmented. It starts small. She places a magazine on the table, intending to put it away later. But the moment she lets go, a new stimulus grabs her attention, a notification on her phone, a sound outside, or a sudden thought about tomorrow's schedule. In an instant, the magazine on the table ceases to exist in her conscious mind. This is what experts call a failure of attentional switching. As this repeats hundreds of times, the room fills with decisions postponed. Looking at an empty bottle and thinking about the steps rinsing it, peeling the label and taking it out on the correct recycling day causes the brain to overheat and freeze. The sheer number of steps feels paralyzing. Compounding this is a weakness in the reward system. Most people feel a small surge of satisfaction, a hit of dopamine when they clean a room. But the ADHD brain is chronically starved of dopamine. To them, cleaning provides no pleasure. It is just an exhausting, tedious task with zero perceived payoff. The tragedy is deepened by the beauty of the occupant. The higher a woman's social standing, or the more attractive her appearance, the more she suffers from the gap between her public image and her private reality. She internalizes the mess as a character flaw, assuming she is just a failure, and falls into a spiral of intense self-hatred and isolation. Consider the case of a woman in her 20s. She was a successful career woman with the style of a model. Yet, in her one-room apartment, she had to hike over mountains of garbage just to reach her bed. For her, the trash was no longer trash, it had become part of the scenery. Her brain had stopped sending the signal that this is a foreign object that must be removed. This is a state of psychological blindness. Then comes the impulse buying typical of ADHD. When stress builds up, the brain seeks a quick dopamine hit by purchasing new clothes or cosmetics. But her home has no capacity left to store them. Unopened shopping bags are simply tossed onto the pile and the wasteland grows. This lifestyle eventually erodes the basic lifelines of money and health. Because she can never find what she needs in the mess, she buys the same things over and over: scissors, chargers, contact lenses. This constant redundant spending drains her finances. On the hygiene front, mold grows on food remains and pests begin to breed. Yet, due to sensory issues or a dulling of the senses, she may become numb to the smell and filth, leaving it to fester. Perhaps the most hidden aspect is the impact on self-worth and intimacy. A woman who cannot clean her room often feels worthless as a human being. This shame prevents her from ever inviting friends or lovers over. She is trapped in a prison of her own making. To fill the void of loneliness, some may seek out reckless relationships outside the home, while others withdraw from society entirely. Why does no one notice? Because these women are masters of masking. They have a desperate need to be seen as normal, so they meticulously craft their public persona. The expensive bag, the perfectly styled hair, the trendy makeup. This mask is so perfect that it hides the catastrophe at home until it is far too late. When a parent or friend finally discovers the truth, their first instinct is often to scold, "Just clean it up," or "You're so lazy." But this is like throwing gasoline on a fire. They already know the state of their room. They know, but their brain won't let them move. Being met with tough love or logic only causes them to panic and withdraw further into their shell. Is there a way out of this wasteland? Because ADHD is a neurological trait, it cannot be cured by willpower alone. However, there are ways to prevent a total collapse. First is the power of medicine. Proper treatment can help balance dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain, making it possible to see the order of tasks. Many describe it as a light being turned on suddenly. The sequence of cleaning becomes visible. The second is externalizing the environment. This means having the courage to give up on doing it yourself. Hiring a cleaning service, setting rigid digital reminders for trash days, or even embracing extreme minimalism to reduce the number of objects in the home. The most important step is to stop viewing a messy room as a sin and start seeing it as a phenomenon caused by a brain glitch. If you ever feel inferior while looking at the perfect lives of beautiful women on social media, remember this behind the screen. Just out of the camera's frame, there might be a mountain of trash she couldn't move. The world is rarely as perfect as it looks. The people we have dismissed as slobs are often victims of a high-performance brain machine with a broken attention switch. They are drowning in their own homes. Cleaning a trash house is not just about tidying up. It is about reclaiming stolen self-esteem. If someone you know is beautiful and kind, but never lets you inside her home, do not judge her. She is not lazy. She is fighting a silent, exhausting war against the storm in her own mind. And if you are the one currently gasping for air in your own wasteland, know this: the dirt in your room is not the color of your soul. Your brain's switch is just struggling to catch. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Moving one bag of trash at a time with the help of others is the only way to restart your story. The beautiful trash room is a symbol of a tragic mismatch between our brains and the demands of modern society. Behind every perfect mask, there is a human being struggling to survive. By choosing to understand instead of mock, we might finally find a way to help them bring their private world back into the light. Thank you for watching. We hope this helps you understand those around you or perhaps yourself a little better. Until next time.